Hi, hey Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. I want to give you a quick update on my shop vac multitasker. I've had a setback. I know I probably thought I should have had this done quite a while ago. So anyway, I've become too involved in it. But just to show you what happened, I had the thing baffle all hooked up and plumbed in. I had it going over to a vacuum manifold with 3 blast gates on it. Had it all set up and was testing it as I went along, and everything seemed to have good draw. So, but then I turned my shop vac on with all the blast gates closed, and that is when I realized I made a mistake. If you remember, I had this bucket as my top thing baffle bucket. Had the hose coming out the top, which goes onto the shop vac. And unfortunately, what happened was I had a blowout. I never thought about it. I started using this bucket because of the height. Between this bucket and this bucket, I had to stay under 35 inches for what I was doing. So that's the reason I picked this bucket. And I should have really thought about the durability of it, and I didn't. Anyway, this was in here, and when I shut off the inlet so that this thing just sucked down and imploded. So, boom. So I guess I'm glad I found it out now. So I'm just going to go back just like I did on my Legacy workstation, and I'm just going to go get a couple of 2-gallon buckets. Works much better anyway than these big 5-gallon buckets do for a shop vac system, believe it or not. And I'll get into that in my next video as to why I'll prove to you why you're better off with a smaller baffle than using a 5-gallon bucket on a shop vac. Anyway, what I was also going to show you real quick is how I set up that blast gate shop manifold. It actually turned out to be kind of interesting, so I thought I'd show you a couple of things that I have learned from this. So this was the shop vac manifold. I have a hole drilled in here in the back, and that went into my theme baffle pipe so that this was all vacuum and it all went out through there. So I had the 3 blast gates, and I could just open and shut either one. And this was really pretty easy to make. It's just 2 pieces of MDF here, and the upper piece of MDF I cut out a slot 1/4 inch high dado so that I could have a piece of 1/4 inch hardboard for a blast gate. I put a dowel in right here at the end of it so that you can only open it so far and it won't pull this out. And then when you close it, I have it notched at the back here for that dowel to set into so that it will close all the way. Now, inherently, one thing that I did different here that you'll see, and I haven't seen anybody else do it like I did it, is inherently slots, they fill up with dirt and dust. You've seen the blast gates when you go to close them, all of a sudden they won't close all the way. You have them open just a little bit because they build up so much dust inside that sliding track. And so that's always a problem. And I've seen some guys, they have it go all the way through, and they put a piece of tape on the other side, acts like a flapper, to close when the gate is open, and when it's closed, the gate can push open and push dirt out. So I have basically the same thing. And what I did is that when I made this, I left a slot at the back of the upper piece. So that what I did is this piece here is actually a 1/4 inch wider than this piece. And they're flush at this end. And so I had this 1/4 inch slot down through here that my hardboard piece will fit in here. Well, what I do is when you close the gate, if I don't have that in there, the gate comes back and actually hits the backboard here. And I can see it down there. So when I open the gate up and I drop this piece in there, now that gate is going to stop up against it. But when I open it, this hardboard is going to keep that sealed so that you don't get vacuum coming in here. It'll all still come through here. So I have a way of cleaning it out. If I go to close it and it's hitting and it's not closing, all I have to do is pull that out and push it closed and then pull it open just a little bit, and then all that vacuum will suck all that dirt back up in there and get rid of it. So it's an easy way to just clean out your slot on this. You just lift it up, give it a push, turn your vac on, and then you can put this back in there and it's cleaned out and ready to be continued to be used. So it's a pretty good design for blast gates. Even if you were going to make individual, this I have a 3 blast gates on a manifold, and this is all vacuum here. So I'm having a piece of plexiglass on the front of it, so I can always see what's going on here. Because one thing this thing is going to do is it's going to catch the heavier objects like bolts and screws and things like that. They probably won't go through into the theme baffle and go into that bucket. They'll all end here, which actually is a good thing, because if you accidentally suck something up, it'll be easier to retrieve it here than it will be from out of all that sawdust in the regular bucket. So actually, I'm going to like having this on the system. It's one of those little additives I hadn't thought about. But you do have to make sure that if you're going to use the manifold, you got to make sure that you have easy access in there. My legacy air filter from that shop vac, if you remember, I built a big case for that, and I have a 4-inch blast gate on the end that I can lift up, and I can get my hand in through there to get inside in case there's something there. So I can reach it and physically clean that out if some weird reason that gets in that far. So that was a good idea, but on this size, that'd be harder to do. So I either got to have some kind of end piece here so I can reach in from the end, or some easy way to take the glass off. And because you're going to want to get in there, because you're going to suck things up that you didn't want to and have to retrieve them. So I think that you want to keep that in mind when you build it. If you build it in, doing it in what I call a vacuum manifold, where all your blast gates are coming out of the same place. It's a good way of setting up a shop vac is using the manifold setup instead of individual blast gates. But you can take this same design, because it's basically 2 pieces of 3/4-inch MDF, and the upper piece has that dado in it. So making this blast gate is pretty easy to do. Have it come out the other end, and then you just screw a short backer board on the lower piece here, leaving this piece short, and you can have the same thing to use these little blast gates anywhere, and they still can have the little clean out. So I just have the piece on the back for the to catch this thing from coming out all the way, and this piece would be removable. So this would still make a good clean out way of doing even an individual blast gate. So dust inside there is always a problem. I like the design, I like the clean out about it. So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. That's where I'm at. Quite honestly, as silly as this sounds, I'm probably not going to use that blast gate manifold on the shop vac. After going through everything to design this and figure out all the bugs in it, I think I have a better way of hooking it up so I have a better vacuum coming out of my hose. Doing it the way I'm going to do it. And I'll show you when I do that, and then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And I think you'll think it's better too. So anyway, hopefully I'll get that done here soon. I'm really anxious to get it done. I'm tired of working on it. I have so many other things I want to start doing to show you. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it right now. Let me say real quick that one of my people left a comment, somebody named Noah, and I just wanted to tell Noah that he asked me about the jointer planer thing and about which one that person should get, or should they get both of them. And I just thought, okay, I'll give my opinion on that. I could make a whole video out of it, but really, basically, I bought one. I bought the jointer, then I bought the planer pretty quickly, because I found that you really want both. If you're going to have one, might as well plan on having both. But if you had to buy one or the first, one or the other, the chicken or the egg thing, I probably would say the jointer would be the first thing to get, quite honestly, because getting a good flat face on one surface of your lumber is probably the hardest part to do as far as I'm concerned. Making them parallel and doing things like that, there's ways of doing that. So I'd say the jointer is probably the most important. For what it's worth. Anyway, I want to thank Noah for that comment and the question. At this point, I guess I'm just going to leave it go, and I'll be back with another video very shortly about dust collection. That's what I'm going to talk about, and about designing the traps with it. Anyway, I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any comments, please leave them below. If you like this video, please say so. And I thank you for those that have said they like it. But most importantly, come back again, because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you again very, very soon.